So this is exactly what you should expect from the New York Times. They're going to defend the position of the processed food and medical industries, because the people who support, the two supporters of the New York Times are its advertisers, and that's going to be drug companies, big pharma, and big processed food. It's not mom and pop farm next door milking their cows at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's big food and big drug. The other group of supporters of the New York Times are the managerial class of the United States. So that's the upper approximately 20% of the United States that have some level of education, maybe some level of influence. And you'll see the clip. I'm basically quoting the clip from Noam Chomsky that I'll show you somewhere within this video.
When you talk about manufacturing of consent, whose consent is being manufactured?
We can, to start with, there are two different groups. We can get into more detail, but at the first level of approximation, there's two targets for propaganda. One is what's sometimes called the political class. There's maybe 20% of the population which is relatively educated, more or less articulate. They play some kind of role in decision making. They're supposed to sort of participate in social life, either as managers or cultural managers, like, say, teachers and writers and so on. They're supposed to vote. They're supposed to play some role in the way economic and political and cultural life goes on. Now, their consent is crucial. It's one group that has to be deeply indoctrinated. Then there's maybe 80% of the population whose main function is to follow orders and not to think, and not to pay attention to anything. And they're the ones who usually pay the costs.
The New York Times is directed toward the upper 20% of the population. Upper 20% in terms of money and education. New York Times is directed toward or directed at the managerial class of the United States. Again, that's the upper 20%.